So this episode gives us a lot more insight to a character who, barring Isabella, is probably one of the more enigmatic characters in the series, and that's number 81194, Ray. We learn that Ray is someone who knows a lot more than he lets on. And this is because Ray has known the truth about Gracefield since he was 6 years old. This may explain some of Ray's pessimism that you may have noticed on some of the earlier episodes. I mean, when Emma said her dream was to ride a giraffe, he replied with good luck. When Norman brought up the idea that the gate is protecting them from something, he just had this blank look on his face, and when he was asked what he wanted to do once he made it to the outside, his answer was to survive, and now we know why. Though we still don't know how exactly Ray realized the truth so early on. But we do know that he's been using Isabella to get some rewards as a means to not only destroy the trackers, but also to possibly get some information on the outside world. But I have to say that my favorite thing this episode did character-wise is that it made all of our characters' plans and intentions crystal clear. Take Ray for instance. Ray does care about all the other children in the house, but he cares more about survival, to the point where he finds it okay to sacrifice some of the children in order to get some valuable information on the tracking devices. Emma, on the other hand, is the complete opposite. She wants to survive, though not if it means all of the other children are left in the orphanage just to eventually get harvested. Emma is also unhappy with escaping if it means someone dying for her sake, which explains her terrifying reaction to Ray hinting at the fact that he's had some children shipped out early. And Norman, while knowing very well that Ray's plan is the safest and best plan, for some reason, whether it be care, love, or something else, wants to adhere to Emma, her plan, and her way of thinking. The way I see Emma is your typical shonen protagonist that just inspires others with their energy. I mean, Emma is this glaring, radiant light that shines in such a dark world. Like, who wouldn't be attracted to it? Who wouldn't want to be more like that? This entire episode was just delivered so well. It did an amazing job at further characterizing our main characters and establishing their perspectives and their outlook on the situation, and how each character, including Dawn and Gilda, want to go about things differently. It also furthers the plot by introducing yet another mystery after just having solved one, and that's Isabella's secret room. Also, as an adaptation, this episode was really well executed, but there were some very minor nitpicky things that I'll mention. First off, Ray and Norman's discussion in the first half of the episode was handled perfectly. They literally spent around half of the episode in this room talking, and it was extremely entertaining. And the reason that is not only due to the subject matter. We're obviously interested in what Ray has to say, seeing as how he's admitting to being Isabella's spy, but also they take full advantage of what is one of the other things The Promised Neverland brings apart from its magnificent story, and that's the illustrations and artwork by Demizu Bolsuka. Every time the viewer may have had this thought that maybe this conversation is going on for a bit too long, we are struck by either an amazing rendition of Demizu Bolsuka's artwork or a piece of dialogue that recaptures our attention. The same could be said for Emma in terms of artwork. Even though the focus of this episode was more on Norman and mostly Ray, they still took the time to make Emma as animated or as serious as possible when the time came. Even Norman's dream sequence halfway through the episode looked magnificent, and the creative decisions that they made, no matter how small, really made that scene much more terrifying. However, Cloverworks also took some of its liberties with the story. I recall one certain plot point that was mentioned by Ray, Emma, and Norman after Gilda and Dawn left the room that wasn't brought up this episode, though I will say that it's a plot point that requires time to explain, something the episode didn't have at the time that conversation took place, so I completely understand them not wanting to bring it up this episode. Another thing Cloverworks took some liberties with is Dawn and his actions at the end of the episode. You see, in the manga, while Dawn does immediately rush to try and open Isabella's secret room, he at least takes the time to formulate a plan. Still very reckless, but not as reckless and hot-headed as it seemed in the anime. Also, before you judge Dawn or even Gilda, take into consideration their point of view. They aren't fully informed of their situation. They believe what Emma, Norman, and Ray told them, which is that the likes of Connie and possibly some of the other kids that were harvested so far were simply just shipped or sold, not killed and eaten by demons. So in Dawn and Gilda's eyes, there is still a chance that Connie is alive, so it makes sense for them to want to do things as quickly as possible, especially when you take into consideration that it was Dawn that told Connie that he would be there for her whenever she needed help back in episode 1. This is obviously not meant to validate what Dawn did, because whichever way you look at it, what Dawn did was not smart, but it was in character. These little alterations are just that, little alterations, but they will affect how the next episode is handled, so I'm curious to see how Cloverworks goes about episode 6. But I'm even more curious to hear your thoughts on this episode in the comments below. So if you're an anime only, let me know what you thought about this episode and any predictions you may have. And if you're a manga reader, let me know how you felt Cloverworks adapted this episode. Please like the video if you enjoyed it, it helps the channel out a lot, and feel free to follow me on Twitter and to subscribe to my channel, as well as hitting that bell. That way you don't miss a video and can keep on watching The Promised Neverland and many other series with me. And with that being said, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you all soon. Peace.